Hello, my name is Andrew Carrillo. It is nice to see you all again. I am back for part 3 of the Creativity Project. This one is mostly about innovation and the creative environment. Let's jump into it. Boom. Alright, the creative environment. What did I learn about innovation? Well, honestly, my biggest takeaway is that innovation and invention are not the same thing. Before this, I genuinely believed that you could use them for pretty much the same meaning, but after reading and watching those videos about innovation, I can see the clear definition between the two subjects. Innovation is mostly about being able to adapt, whereas invention is more about creation. But let's get more in depth about the differences right after this. So, innovation, by definition, is the action or process of innovating. I could have told you that, right? um, and what does that mean? That means that it is different from invention, obviously, because innovation is mostly building off an idea or process to make it better, whereas invention is creating something entirely new. Innovation focuses mainly on improving of something, whereas invention focuses on a whole new idea to fill a need that's not already met. Now, innovation, you're building off of an idea you already have to just make it suit a need better, whereas invention, you find a new idea or you find a new problem and you just solve it. Now, how does innovation relate to creativity and entrepreneurship? Well, connect the dots here. Entrepreneurship leads to invention. Invention leads to innovation. Innovation requires adaptability, and adaptability requires creativity. And overall, entrepreneurs are creative people. To effectively be an entrepreneur, you need to be creative. Without creativity, you cannot come up with ideas to start a business off of. Okay? And when it comes to innovation, once something is invented, it can't stay the same. People will not buy the same product over and over again unless it has been innovated because they don't need the same thing they bought last year. But let's get more into that when we talk about how it actually relates to businesses. What is the importance of innovation to businesses? Well, innovation is a tool of progress, both in society and the world of business. What I mean by that is that innovation is how business and society moves forward. It can't keep doing the same thing over and over again because the world doesn't need you to do the same thing over and over again. Consumers will not buy that. In order to succeed, a business needs to innovate and adapt depending on the market at the time. The world has to keep spinning. It can't just stand still for you. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of businesses that use innovation. And when I thought of this, my mind immediately went to the iPhone, and you're going to see what the other one is, which is super obvious. But let's talk about this first. The iPhone. Their slogan is literally think different but not too different. So they aren't trying to invent new iPhones because you can't really reinvent the iPhone. You can just innovate off of it. So it seems that every year there is a new iPhone, and each is just slightly different with new features that create a desirability for the phone. If they just kept selling you the iPhone 4, which was that indestructible brick, I mean, sure, people would probably still buy it because there's people that are getting older that need phones, but people that already have phones will never buy another phone again because they have no need to buy the same thing unless they completely destroyed it, which again, that iPhone 4 was indestructible. um, so yeah, iPhones and the phone business in general, there's always a new Galaxy coming out, there's always a new Motorola coming out, a new iPhone. So this is used within that industry. The tech industry uses this a lot because they got to come out with new products every year to keep people buying them. And also, there's new technological advances which they can integrate into their own products, which help them become more desirable. And of course, when you're talking about innovation, we got to talk about Nissan. It is literally their slogan in every commercial that you've ever seen from a Nissan car: innovation that excites. Every year they come out with new models, and occasionally they do invent new makes of cars. Like there's the Nissan Rogue, and then there's the Nissan Kicks. The Kicks is relatively younger than the Rogue because it's a newer invention technically, but it's just a smaller Rogue. Um, and yeah, same with the iPhones. Every year it's just a slight change. They change the audio on it, they add seat warmers, they take away this, they add that, and it just creates a desirable factors for the car. Because if I have a car this year and they come out with the same car next year, but there's nothing different with it, I'm not going to want to buy a car. Or say 3 years down the road, I want to buy a new car. I'm not going to buy the same car I already have. I want to buy the car that has leather in it because that's the new upgrade they have for this one. Like previously, leather was not available for my car. They have to innovate and add new things to the cars every year so that people want them. But I think you already knew that, especially when they say innovation that excites. Now, let's talk about two approaches to innovation. So in the reading, I saw these two come up a lot. It was radical and incremental. So radical innovation basically is very close to invention, but it's not the same thing per se. See, radical is like coming up with new ideas, and it is very costly because when you have to make a new thing, it costs businesses a lot more money. But radical innovation does open doors to new markets, which is where the value is in it. Now, the other kind of innovation is incremental. Incremental is basically like a standard innovation. You're building off of ideas. It's very cost effective because unlike radical, you're not coming up with brand new ideas. You're just like it's like the car, you're adding to it or you're taking something away from it. And it does help maintain value in current markets. What I mean by that is that instead of Nissan making a tablet that is compatible with Nissan cars, they are just making a new car that is slightly different than the one last year, which means that they continue to have value in the market, but they're not tapping into the tech market per se. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically the big difference. This maintains value in your market, and radical opens the door to a new one. And that's all I have for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in part 4.